Hey guys, what's up? It's Incendium. For those who don't know me, which I guess is everyone because this is my first video, I'm a producer from Houston, Texas. And yeah, today I'm going to be showing y'all how to make a tropical beat, a tropical rap beat, something sort of like ZZ, what Travis Scott and Kodak Black rapped over. So yeah, let's get it started. So one of the most important instruments in Caribbean tropical, island music, whatever you want to call it, is the steel drum. Now, Logic Pro has a default steel drum, but I feel like we could do a lot better. So what I actually use is I just use actual steel drum samples that I've found. I've actually got these on Splice, and these are just one notes, and I dragged it into the sampler here. And as you can see, hold on. Sounds pretty good. So, first, let's change the project tempo actually to around 100 beats per minute, because that's like, the typical, tropical, reggaeton type tempo. So it's relatively, it's got a nice groove, relatively slow. So let's just draw in a melody, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, there are multiple scales you can use for something like this. It really depends on the vibe you want to go for, but since we're going for like a summery kind of happy vibe, then we're just going to use something in the major scale. So let's just play around and see what we can come up with. So what we got right now is just a simple pattern I drew in, very simple, just 2 bars right there, and I can play it. And actually, as you can see, it's kind of, there's like a note here that doesn't feel right. So if you're not really that musically inclined like I am, then you can just go over to scale quantization, choose something with a major scale, and let's just see something that sounds good. So obviously, what I was playing was close to C major. Let's see how it sounds now. It's okay. I feel like we could go with something a little more interesting, so I'm gonna move the notes around a bit. Alright, that's pretty fire. And now we're gonna actually draw a few bass notes so we can fill out the melody a bit more. Okay, there we go. We got a nice little, nice little melody going on. Now, something else I like to do is I like to go over to this functions tab here, go to Midi Transform, and then go to Humanize. Basically what that does is it sort of places the notes at random velocities and also somewhat random positions as well, so it just seems like an actual human played it. But I'm going to go ahead and actually keep everything quantized just because, it's, I don't know, it's fine. Okay, cool. Now, let's add another instrument. So we're going to go ahead and add a guitar. So we're going to go over to Contact and open it up, and actually it's one of the, I think it's in factory selection, that's the name of the Contact library, and we can just go over here, just under guitar, and we got what's called the jazz guitar. So basically it's a really nice sounding kind of authentic guitar plugin. Hold on, there we go. Sounds pretty dope. So we can just play something to counter the steel drum melody we have. Okay, so we got a little counter melody going on. I'll play it. That's pretty fire. Make sure it's in key. Yeah, it is. Um, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna actually raise it an octave just to give it a bit more flavor. Yeah, that's fire. Um, and I'm actually gonna shorten the notes just a little bit. And oh yeah, don't forget to humanize. Okay. All right, that's fire. And basically, also don't forget to turn off when you open up Contact. They actually have a lot of like preset effects on it, so just don't forget to turn those off. I usually the compressor is like a pretty big deal for me. I usually just turn that off, and also turn all the reverb off. So now it's dry because we're gonna put our own effects on it later. Okay, so the next instrument we have here is a marimba. A marimba is like a sort of like a Caribbean xylophone. It's except that instead of steel keys, it uses wooden keys. So we got a marimba right here. Sounds pretty dope. Turn oh, by the way, this is a Philharmonic 2 plugin. Turn the pre-effects off because that just adds a bunch of unnecessary reverb that we don't want. So yeah, and we'll draw in a nice pattern. And I noticed that in like instruments like the marimba, basically it kind of adds like the percussion element of the sample without adding too many drums or whatever. So like basically, you know, just draw something kind of groovy. Okay, so we got a simple marimba pattern right now. I'll play it. Pretty simple. In fact, I'm going to add a few more notes just to fill it out. Okay, bet. Alright, now we're going to add some effects to these, and I'm actually going to cut the video and come back once I apply all the effects. I can show you what I did. Because if I just, you know, sit here and fill them out while I'm recording, it'll be kind of monotonous. So I'll come back in a minute. See you guys. Okay, so I've added some basic effects, and I'll show you what exactly I did. So for the steel drum, we just have some basic EQ. I just used the channel EQ preset, mostly just to get some of the harsh frequencies out, usually right around here, around the 1000 kilohertz mark. And also I added this compressor. It's just the standard compressor that comes with Logic. I used the Platinum Analog pre-tape, the Platinum Analog tape preset, and I just changed the distortion to soft, turned a bit of the makeup down. That gives it more of like a warm feel without feeling too artificially vintage. It's kind of why I don't like VSTs like isotope vinyl, even though I use it a lot. But and then we have some basic reverb. It's basically just tabla plate, dry, the same, wet, -30. So very subtle, but just to give it a little bit more, you know, of a less dry feeling. Okay, so now we got the guitar. It's panned slightly to the right. I used another Platinum Analog tape preset. Everything is the same. And then for the reverb, I used a California Combo, which is found under Spring Reverbs, and the wet -40 dB, 14 dB, and then the dry -1.2 dB. And then here's the E key I used, just to take out some of those harsh frequencies. Yeah, for the marimba, I used a platinum analog tape compressor once again, and then here's the EQ I used. I took out a lot of those here just because I don't want any, since it's a percussive instrument, I don't want any bass notes kind of making the mix muddy. And then I didn't add any reverb because I really just like the way it already kind of sounds, how it is. It's just very natural. And then oh yeah, and I pan that slightly to the left. And then over here, this is actually a MIDI effects that you can use. So I used note repeater. Here are all the settings I used. So I did half triplet notes for the delay, repeat only once. I transposed it so that the delays are actually an octave lower than the bass note. And then here's the velocity. So there you go. It just sounds. You see, you got all those random notes hitting. It just sounds very like, I don't know, like just happy, and I don't know. It just sounds good. So there you go. We got the melody. So now let's move on to the drums. So after adding some really simple drums, we're pretty much, we're done with the beat, minus some mastering. But yeah, let's give it a listen. So as you can see, I did make a few minor changes. First of all, I just like to note that the 808 just follows the root note, and you can usually figure this out by pitching it up. See, it matches the steel drum. And then also, I did a few structural changes. So right here, when the guitar and marimba come in, I actually pitched down the steel drum, or transposed it down one octave. I just think it makes it sound a lot more full. So yeah, there we go. See ya.